Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 470 for the week of, well, we are recording this on Thursday, October 8th. Normally it would be Tuesday, October 6th. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
Hey.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Brock.
Hello.
Sorry, we're going to record on Tuesday as normal, but I ended up getting one of the worst cases of vertigo I have had in a long time, and no, not my favorite comic book imprint, but the medical condition of horrible dizziness and nausea. So,
I thought for a minute you were just trying to be Count Vertigo, and you were just like, "I'm not going to work. I'm going to take over the world."
That would work too. Yeah, I haven't had a. I mean,
it's been a while.
It's been a while since I've taken a day. I mean, I took like 6 weeks off work when we shut down. But actually, that's not true. I was still on all the time. But yeah. Man, oof, that Brock and Marshall saved my ass. So thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Feeling much better now. Anyway, still wanted to record an episode this week. I didn't want to skip because we'll just end up endlessly behind, and we've skipped a few times recently. So, and I know we're going to be skipping in a couple weeks. California, I hope you guys got your ballots ready.
No, that's the all night recording, right?
Yeah, that's the all night recording, baby.
Live stream on Twitch.
Everybody's drinking. Everybody's just.
Oh, remember,
and then Tuesdays later, we'll know the results.
That's what I was going to say. We probably.
Ryan, do you have room? One of us needs to be able to hang up a big map of the U.S. and so you can stand up at the board and like put the red and blue stickers.
There you go.
The Comics Conspiracy can call Iowa for President Trump. Five electoral votes.
We'll send Toby out into to the field, and he can go interview people when they're coming out exit polls. Yeah. Yes. So remember to vote. Hope my ballot's on the way, according to.
I got mine yesterday.
Yeah, I got mine yesterday too.
Yeah, we're out in the boonies of San Jose, so it takes a little longer out here. We've got some stuff to talk about here, but I want to go over some sales chart stuff. I know we'll start off with a bang here, but
sales charts.
Well, this actually, I don't know what we're going to do going forward. So we got sales charts from Diamond. But it is not exactly the type of sales charts we had previously, obviously, because they don't have the normal.
They lost like numbers, 30. Right? They lost 30 some odd percent of their what comics they sell because DC left. So everybody else increases at that point.
Well, they released
tribute.
They had Diamond put out their sales charts, but it's not. It's for like a few months combined, and then it's not. There's no estimated numbers. Sales chart numbers are always estimates, right? I want to get that out of the way. So when we say Batman sells 120,000 or whatever, that's actually an estimate. It's usually estimated low, but those are the estimates from ICV2, which is the big one of the big sites that does sales charts for comic books. So Comicron and ICV2 and a bunch of these guys, they've got some numbers, but it's we're not exactly we don't really have numbers. So we have like chart positions here. And I guess my question is going forward, I'll leave it to you guys and to the audience too. I want people's feedback because I know some people hate sales charts, but we actually dead serious. I get a lot of positive comments about the sales charts. They really like it. It can be a little boring. I do try to make it fun though. I'm not Kevin. You're laughing, but I'm serious. I get a lot of comments of people that like the sales chart stuff. It's not just me. So,
everyone listening, you should see the look on Ryan's face when he starts talking sales charts and
only with Toby here. Only with Toby.
Data. He's like a giddy schoolgirl. He's just like, woo.
So when Comicron is going to be doing their own estimate with what Diamond has, which has no numbers attached, just ranking.
So there's no units.
Huh?
So you're saying there's no units. There's no
nothing, right? There's no percentage
units,
of
dollar share,
no
nothing. Okay.
Right. None of that stuff is in here. So they've just
So you're telling us Diamond has adopted Comixology's ranking system for digital sales, where it's just here's the top books and that's it.
Well, so Diamond put out their top 300 chart. Again, the numbers ICV2 gets, they have their own method of getting those numbers. Those numbers does not come from Diamond, but they have basically they're able to extrapolate one book sale, and then they can extrapolate the whole list based on that one book, because there is a Diamond releases a what do they call it? Like an order index, basically, where they're using Avengers now. Avengers is now 100. So sales above and below Avengers based on what the order index number is can be adjusted. So if Avengers sells 40,000 and it's 100, if something comes in order index 50, that means it sold 20,000, right? If something comes in order index 200, that means it sold 80,000, right? 150, right? Yeah. You know what I mean. 50
if it's 50, half. It's more than 40,000. If it's 150, it's less than 40,000.
No, other way. The higher the number, the higher the order index, the higher the orders. So like Horizon Zero Dawn, Star Wars, Darth Vader, Hellion, and Spawn all came in at like basically the same order index number. So their sales are very much the same, right? I'm just looking at some books here on the top 100. But what Comicron has done now is they've actually taken DC's numbers that come from Lunar and UCS, and this is not the Comic Hub numbers that we've mentioned a few times now. So these appear to be numbers to stores, not the sell-through numbers that we've reported on once or twice already. So we can do a few different things, and I mean, it might be worth, especially the Comic Hub numbers, because that's actually sold to customers, and I think that's important to look at. But we can start using these Comicron numbers when they get their estimates together, because we have, and I'm not going to do the big old guessing game, yada yada yada. I'll just go through this list real quick. But they basically took comics that sold from April, May, June, July, and August, and threw them all into one list because of just how few books there were, especially in those first few months. And we actually have specific numbers on how many books were released during those months as well, which is pretty interesting to look at. So if you're to look at just the sales charts, top 10, this would be these 5 months combined, April, May, June, July, and August. Obviously, a lot of books got delayed. And we have the August, because DC had put their books out previously. Marvel had their books out for those. They basically lumped all those books together. So we're only looking at the August stuff for DC. So it should make a little bit more sense going forward. If we want to look at that top 10, 10-1 is Maestro number 1, Harley Quinn 75, which is a Joker War crossover, final issue. Thor number 6, Detective Comics 1026, which is also a Joker War crossover. Venom 27, Detective 1025, again a crossover. Metal number 3, Batman 97, Batman 96, and then 3 Jokers number 1, being the number 1 book. So clean sweep of the top 5 there for DC and Batman. A lot of Batman in the top 10.
Batman.
So if we're again estimating that, Star Wars, that Avengers had this 100. If they said Batman 3 Jokers sold 300,000 copies, right? It has an order index of 656. So that many times, 6 times the number of copies sold of Avengers. So at that point, you can kind of estimate the list going down. I'm not going to go through all that stuff. But I don't know that we're, like I said in previous talks, I don't know that we're ever going to really get normal sales charts back, which is why I do like the Comic Hub numbers, because those are actual charted numbers that we can look at and see what actually sold. And I think we already have it. We'll do it next week. I don't want to double up this topic too much here. More sales charts next weeks, guys. Look out.
So, were you trying to keep Toby off for a few weeks? Is this your...
So if you do look at just the Diamond list, though, and this basically this is for the August titles. I mean, Marvel now has 60% of the market share, right? Because they scooped up everything that basically the hole that was DC is filled by Marvel. So, top 10 Diamond charts is 10-1 is Empire 5, Venom 25, Empire 4, Spider-Man 46, Wolverine 4, Spider-Man 47, X-Men 11, Maestro 1, Thor 6, and Venom 27. So, and those are
and what's the index number on Venom 27?
198. So that's,
wow, that's
twice as much as Avengers.
But like comparing it to Three Jokers,
right?
Numbers, right?
So, if Three Jokers, if that's what's my math
I think it's
here,
like 650 something.
So if that's 6 times, if Avengers sold 40, so 45, right? So Avengers probably sold 4,500 copies, and Three Jokers sold 300,000, right? So which puts Venom at about 80,000, 90,000. Yeah, which makes sounds about right. But so I mean, at this point, Marvel's going to clean up the top 10 almost every single month. There will be some Image Books and other companies that come in here. But another problem on top of all this is the fact that the vast majority of comics were either heavily discounted or made returnable because of COVID. Yeah. What Diamond does is they actually automatically drop a percentage off on returnable titles from the sales charts positions. There's no dollar amounts because Marvel offered a 75% discount. Everything's returnable from every other company. DC's gone, right? So there just isn't a way to report that stuff without it looking way different, which is obvious, right? But those are the sales charts. We're going to do the Comic Hub top 10 when those are released. And again, we'll do that next week.
Didn't they already release those?
They did, but I'm not. But they released it today. Or yesterday. But it wasn't going to be on our topic for this week, so we'll skip it. We'll deal with it next week. But sales charts, we're going to do what we can do going forward.
Well, do you think
a little more fun with it next week.
Do you think Diamond's going to go back to sharing the numbers again, or no?
I don't think. Well, again, they never really did. They shared. Like these unit chart positions.
Yeah, but we also had units sold, dollars sold, like we had all of that.
That's a lot of that comes estimates from that is Diamond gives like some big ballpark numbers, and then ICV2 and Comic-Con like break them down, and try to figure out where those numbers go. And they have other ways of getting this info, so it's not.
Do you think the Comic-Con and ICV2 or whatever? Do you think they're going to start maybe just getting the data and then combining it and not calling it Diamond's numbers or Lunar's numbers or whatever?
Well,
just calling it.
That's what they. Well, that's what they did. That's exactly what they just did. Yeah. So Lunar and UCS are not releasing numbers, but they were able to figure out somehow.
Well, the thing, look, Mike, I guess my question is isn't this better to have this data for retailers going forward so they can make more informed decisions of what to stock versus
no?
Yeah. I mean, my take on this is just the only numbers that really interest me are the hub numbers.
Yeah.
And that's because I feel like that takes a lot of we were doing this to bump up the numbers out of the equation, meaning your top 10 list can be actually more reflective of what people are wanting to buy not what we need to hit this number of ordering this to get this variant cover. So we are willing to eat this many copies in the shop or whatnot. Like
right.
That kind of manipulation has always bothered me. So having a true list of what are the top books people are buying is much more interesting to me.
Yeah. So Diamond did not release market shares, period. So they could guess. I mean, we assume Marvel, Image,
Well, it's their output dropped, so those numbers for everybody increased.
Yeah. And they said, there's they just these are all estimates, right? But these are the best estimates we have. The only things that really count, except for, again, those Comic Hub numbers, like Charlie said, which are specifically sell through. So we'll just as this number. Oh, and also Lunar and UCS do not provide reorder information that is included with Diamond's numbers. So that can change stuff pretty significantly, especially end of the year when a book like, I'm sure a book like Three Jokers was reordered in the weeks following to cause it to sell out, right? That's going to move that number up past the initial sales charts.
There's a bunch like Thor's been through a ton of different printings and.
Well, those filter into their own listings because those are the reprints. Yeah, I mean, like actual reorders, and it's more for graphic novels and stuff. They ran ICV2 ran some numbers, and I actually thought this was maybe even a little bit more interesting than any of the sales chart stuff this month, and that's how many comic books and graphic novels were released through Diamond through those first 5 months of COVID versus 2019. So in the month of April, Diamond released 413 comic books. In the month of April 2020, they released 3. Now, I actually don't know what those 3 are. I don't know how they released 3 books in April. They weren't shipping. So I don't know what they shipped.
Was it some didn't we get like a couple graphic novels that were?
They said there were 27 graphic novels versus 275. So they shipped something in April. I don't remember what, though. Did we get a shipment from Diamond in April? I have no recollection of this.
Well, because everything closed down, and we did get a shipment in April. It was like the tail.
Not from Diamond.
But no, it was at the beginning. We got one towards the beginning.
No. I mean, the last shipment we got was the second week we were shut down because that was already en route to us. That was the end of May. I don't know what they shipped in April.
Give me a second.
91 books in May versus 486 in the previous year, and again 132 graphic novels versus 403, and they were starting to ship comics again by the end of May. But now we're really seeing the pullback from Marvel and the loss of DC, because in June, which they were basically back to shipping normal, 248 titles versus June 2019 was 424. 327 versus 495 in July, and 349 versus 431 in August. So you could see the drop from DC. Basically, by August, everything was back to normal. There's a couple missing Marvel titles, but not really. Marvel's basically back to normal. But that drop by DC is about 100 titles. It's 80 titles for August. Something happened in August. Why would that have been so low? It feels low. 495 versus 431 July to August. That's a big drop. Anyway, 82 books short, which those are all going to be DC at this point. So yeah, we're looking at a 55% fewer comic books were released during that post-COVID time of April through August, and 13% fewer graphic novels. All those graphic novels were still in production. They roaring back. June, July, and August, there were more graphic novels released in 2020 than 2019. So all that delayed stuff from April and May was just sitting there waiting to come out. And I can tell you that's true because holy fuck, our graphic novel section has been huge recently. We've gotten so many new trades. They definitely were shipping all that delayed material. So there you go. A lot of sales chart crap. I don't know. We have the we have the Comic Hub numbers for September for actual sell to customers, and we'll go over that next week.
Okay, so I think I know what books came out in April.
Yeah, if they shipped anything, I mean, maybe a random thing came that they shipped direct.
So I went to my website because I do my pull list, right? The 3 single issues that came out on the 29th of April that I picked up was Batman Giant 3, Batman Giant 4, and Dreaming 19.
But I guess Diamond technically, yeah,
Technically, they shipped a couple of the DC books.
did. Was it? It's I completely forgot about that. Yeah, because they were shipping them. Because they stopped shipping Diamond, they stopped shipping DC in July.
Because like the graphic novels that last week of April was it like I got Absolute Day Tripper, Anti-Hero, Gotham High, Lost Carnival, my video game, like all those kids books that came out.
Well, those we all got from that didn't come from Diamond. That we all got from the book distributors.
Yeah, and then
they were still shipping.
And then they had the Omega Men Deluxe and the Weird Western Tales.
That was all from the book distributor. That was our first order with Penguin and Random House because that was all the stuff that was building up when everyone shut down.
Yeah. So my last pull list was March 25th.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it because they did. They were because we switched over to Lunar and Lunar, so we were getting our stuff from them. I completely forgot that those 3 books did come out from DC that week. Well, there you go. That makes sense.
Hey, my pull list was good for something.
We got a bunch of questions here, but we got two quick things to hit up. Let me get you guys' take on this. Do you see the Spawn 311 issue coming out in a couple weeks?
I didn't get a chance to look at it. Let me go look.
Charlie,
Only
Kevin,
because you posted it.
Yeah. Kevin, did you get a chance to look at this?
Yep.
I'm looking right now.
So I saw this got announced, and all I saw was a lot of really positive stuff. More negative stuff did come out as time went on, but I was a little caught off guard by this. Spawn 311 is going to have a the variant cover, the B cover, the one that Todd McFarlane always does, is going to have a Chadwick Boseman inspired in memory of cover with Chadwick Boseman dressed as Spawn with the mask off, doing the Wakanda Forever salute with a Black Panther face on the belt.
Well, it's also on where the little skulls are on Spawn cape thing. Those are little panther skulls as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. It's a mashup of the Spawn costume and the Black Panther costume, and it's in memory of Chadwick Boseman. That I think it's the reason why it's weird is because of Al Simmons is.
Well, I think it's weird for a lot of reasons.
But
so
the other thing too
for me, it just comes down to the spirit of the comic. If the spirit of the comic was we're going to produce this cover and give a certain amount of the profits or all the profits to these organizations that Chadwick Boseman supported, like if it was about not a money grab, but sort of respecting him and what he stood for, I'd be a little more for it. But the fact that this is just in memory of, with no mention of how it's actually honoring him, that's the part that bothers me.
Yeah, when this got announced, I mean, I was the first reply in the retailer forum that was like, this is really gross. Like, what? I mean, besides the fact that Chadwick Boseman has nothing to do with Spawn, has no relation to Todd McFarlane, doesn't I mean, Chadwick Boseman in talks to play Al Simmons in the Spawn movie that Todd McFarlane's going to direct. Never. It's not, like Charlie said, it's not part of a charity. It's not being used for anything.
Couldn't you draw a really thin connection with Marvel and Spawn with Angela?
But I mean, it has nothing to do with it.
I know.
There's like no reason for this book to exist other than to make Todd McFarlane money. And also Spawn is like a night of hell. That feels really gross. Are you implying Chadwick Boseman is in hell now? I don't
Hell
look.
Spawn.
I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but I am really surprised this cover is actually going to be made. And I kind of don't know how Disney didn't send them a cease and desist. it's not that he's dressed as Black Panther, but there is a clear line that they are trying to sell you on this. And I don't know how the family or how Disney has not shut this down. I am baffled by the positive response to this cover and that Image is publishing it and that Todd McFarlane somehow thinks it's okay. I am really confused. If someone wants to defend this to me, go for it.
Wait, I'm not going to defend it, but I do have a point of confusion as well.
Sure.
I thought you left the retailer forum.
I'm in the FOC group. That is a retailer forum, but it's not.
Okay. Retailer. All right. That was the headline for me out of this story.
No. I'm in the FOC group because that's actually the company's term. I never.
Okay. So, hold on. So the article says that it's not Chadwick.
Okay.
The article says that it's Al Simmons.
Sure.
I mean, because that's the thing is like if it's Al Simmons' Spawn, because he can change his costume however he wants. So if it's Al Simmons giving a tribute to, like, a nod to Chadwick Boseman and Black, like, in that fashion, yes, I understand. But yeah, it's
no, with the Black Panther symbol all over it, with making the pose, there's no way that they aren't trying to draw that parallel, especially with the banner over the top in memory. Like, as I said, I would feel much better about this if it was for a good cause of some sort.
Well, yeah. But, okay, what if it was a masked Spawn?
I still wouldn't necessarily like it.
Sure. I mean, if it was Spawn with no Black Panther stuff, with the mask on, doing the salute.
So a Spawn cover.
Right. And maybe it didn't even say Chadwick Boseman on it. Like,
so what? So you wouldn't be talking about it.
If it was Spawn doing the Black Panther salute, I'd be like, fine. This is 3 steps too far. So, yeah. I would assume.
So the better question now is,
I think if you asked 100 people on the streets, 100 people on the streets would know who Spawn was. I actually think if you asked 100 comic book people, I don't think you're getting 100 responses. This is Al Simmons is Black. I don't think most people know that. I don't know that most people know. Yeah. Because he's so rarely. When the hell do you ever see like Al Simmons?
You see, like in the early issues, see the flashbacks and all that stuff.
But like I don't know.
I mean, he takes the mask off. He looks like Deadpool. So
yeah. I don't know that most people.
I don't know, but if you're not acknowledging the early issues, then there's a lot of stuff about what we've already covered where Spawn started as a Hellspawn, but there was a period of time where he was getting his powers from the Earth, and like they've always sort of teetered that line between he may have started as a Hellspawn, but I don't know where he is at now because I'm so far behind in the comic I couldn't tell you, but I know from like issue 50 to 100 they were going farther and farther away from like the connection to Hell.
Yeah. I don't know.
So how many orders now?
But I mean, for me, all it really comes down to is there's being respectful, and then there's trying to get in on a money grab.
Yeah.
And because this seems to be purely financial, making this cover, it feels like a money grab, and that's not respectful.
I agree with. We got a lot of orders.
If it was the main cover, would you consider it a money grab?
Yeah, either way.
Okay. Just
I got a lot of orders for it. I'm going to fill those orders. I ordered a couple extra, as I would any random book, because I will get some last minute orders or we'll get damaged copies or whatever. But no, I don't like it. I don't want to support it. I'm really confused by it, and I think it's a very poor taste. So yeah. There you go. That's all I'm going to do. Let's talk about some movies.
When do we not?
I'll get some questions. Oh, 2020.
Did you see the news, by the way, about New Mutants?
No.
Today?
No.
It will be available for home purchase in mid-November.
Oh, okay. How much?
And no, it just said, I saw the listing for Blu-ray, DVD and digital, and then Tenet first week of December, I think.
So have they officially delayed Wonder Woman yet?
Not yet. Well, not as of when we're speaking.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of rumors about Wonder Woman recently.
Yeah. Well, 2020, you had your chance. You're done now, boy. Batman. They're obviously shifting everything back because we found out that they shift back James Bond again. They shifted. We already knew Black Widow and a couple of the other movies. They shifted Dune back after premiering the trailer. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's going to be a year later. And now we're clearly seeing the lineup for more movies to get pushed back because 2021 movies are now being pushed into 2022. The Batman moved from October 1st to March 4th. October 1st, 2021 to March 4th, 2022. I mean, they delayed the Flash movie again, but like the movie that will never happen. So, okay.
All right, he said it here, Kevin. Make sure he eats crow.
Well, when we start our 2021 bet pool on New Year's Day, we can include the Flash.
Well, it moved from June 2nd to November 4th, 2022. So it only pushed it back.
So it's
5 months.
Okay. But, and Eternals is November 2025.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But is this the 9th date for the Flash movie that doesn't exist? Right? I don't know. Shazam 2, which does have a title and actors and seems to be way more official than the Flash, is moving from June 2nd to November. Is moving to June 2nd, 2023, being pushed back from November 4th. So yeah, there is
November 4th, 2022.
2022. Yeah, so it's getting pushed back 7 months. 7 months.
And then isn't Black Adam pushed to like 2023?
They shifted a couple unannounced movies. Black Adam and the Minecraft movie have been taken off the release calendar entirely. So yeah, there's a lot of movies getting delayed. At this point, Jurassic Park, all the MCU movies.
So is Marvel just going to skip Phase 4 and say we're in Phase 5? By the time we actually see a Marvel movie.
Well, no, because nothing has happened. I think I read this is the first time there's not been an MCU movie in the theater since 2009. Was in 2009 was the last time we didn't have an MCU movie? That would have been 2009. Would have been in between
Iron Man and Iron Man 2.
No. Yes.
Well, wasn't there something in between? Wasn't there Thor in between those?
Or between Iron Man 2
No, there was Iron Man, then Hulk in the same year.
Hulk, yeah.
Between Hulk and Iron Man 2?
Probably. I mean, Iron Man and Hulk came out like that same summer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Of course, Morbius. Remember there's a Morbius movie?
Oh, right.
That exists? Yeah. Venom 2 has been pushed back to June, and that's June 2021. Man, they've got to be looking at those spring and summer 2021 dates just going.
Yeah, it was you're right. 2009. Iron Man and Hulk came out in 2008, and Iron Man 2 came out in 2010. Yeah.
So I've got to wonder if those early 2021 movies are even now like maybe.
I don't know. Any dates at this point are best guesses at best.
Yeah. I just we had to assume this was going to happen. There's and we'll put Wonder Woman on this list because there's zero chance it comes out in December. At least in movie theaters, at least in the United States.
Yeah, all the rumors I've seen recently is that they're rethinking maybe going digital with it, and that's why it wasn't on this list.
But then articles came out that Patty Jenkins is like, it's coming out in movie theaters first, no matter what.
Maybe not here. Maybe it'll be theaters internationally, and then digital only in the U.S.
I can't remember the name of the title, the Disney movie.
Soul. Soul. right?
Soul, is that it? That's going
Yeah.
to Disney Plus.
Yeah, they're not even skipped. They're
So
skipping
apparently that Mulan model did not work out.
Yeah. There's conflicting numbers on Mulan, but it sounds like it was too much.
Well, and it's about to hit or just hit the other streaming services and stuff for purchase. So
that might be. I think limiting it just to Disney Plus was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I think if Wonder Woman hits, on demand and Apple TV and iTunes and DC or
If I can get a copy of it
on HBO Max,
if I can get a copy that's connected to like mymoviesanywhere.com or whatever, I'm fine, right? Like,
yeah.
So comic book movies. Sorry, 2020. It was not your year.
Hey, Old Guard was good.
You knew that.
Birds of Prey was okay.
Yeah,
we had Bloodshot.
Yeah. Bloodshot and Birds of Prey. We got two.
Hey, no, we got Old Guard. Don't forget Old Guard.
And New Mutants, technically released.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of questions. Let's get through some of these guys, too. Edgar Moreno says, do you guys have any idea of how the fall season of TV shows is going to play out? And is anything you're looking forward to? I mean, isn't it the same thing? There is no fall season of TV. There's random stuff, but...
That's okay. I'm just looking forward to the final 7 episodes of Supernatural.
Yeah, that's coming up. So comic-wise, Swamp Thing's on right now.
Yeah.
That just started this week. Boys is on. Umbrella Academy is fairly recent.
Yeah.
This is the last episode of Boys?
Yeah, this is the last episode.
Yeah, we'll start it up. Well, we're going to finish up Dark Season 3, and then I'll probably watch The Boys. I know all the superhero shows, all the CW stuff, they pushed back, and some got delayed again because of COVID little infection pockets. Was it like Riverdale and
Batwoman? Yeah,
it's
because of the they don't have access to testing.
Is that what it is?
Because where they are filming, my understanding is that the tests are prioritized, as they probably should be, for like schools and businesses.
Sure.
And so it's not that there's like these raging infections on the sets. It's that they can't get results, and so they're just freezing everything in place.
Okay, but it's not the rest of the CW shows, just those two?
Well, those two are facing the testing problem. CW already announced delays for Supergirl, Flash, and Legends.
Right, but I don't think that's related, though, right?
Maybe that's more related to just a delay in the being able to resume production.
Okay.
Well, didn't Melissa just have a baby?
She had her kid, yeah. So that makes sense. I guess we're getting. I mean, rumor is we're getting WandaVision, right? They still haven't given us a date for that.
Hey, we're getting Mandalorian at the end of the month.
Yeah, Mandalorian's really soon. Yeah.
Can't wait to start up my Disney Plus subscription.
Oh, they're filming. No, they're filming Loki right now.
Yeah.
Did they go back?
Yeah.
To start that?
Yeah,
Okay.
there was an interview.
It can't be like full cast though. I mean, it must be.
I'm trying to remember now. This was maybe 2 weeks ago. I was watching an interview with someone from Loki who's like, I'm left the set to do this interview, and then I'm going back.
Yeah.
So they're actively filming.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta wonder how this is gonna change up. You're gonna have a lot of like single characters talking on monitors and talking on cell phones, or
just a lot of cut back and forth. You won't see two people in the same shot.
Or if you see them in the same shot, there's enough space between them, right? But it looks like they're really close.
Yeah, my first thought when it comes to like the DC shows was always Supergirl and the DEO. I kind of feel like the DEO just has to not be on the show anymore.
Yeah. Well, they can have, they can have like one person on one side of Martian Manhunter's apartment, his little Hall of Justice thing. One person like up on the rafters, Brainiac's off in his ship, Dream Girl's off and doing her dream thing, and they're all talking. It's fine. It's totally fine. Flash is just like popping back and forth.
You're basically describing everybody on Zoom meets. In this Supergirl world where they're like, yeah, I'm taking care of this. And this person's over here taking care of this.
I mean, that's
all the while they're
it is something I'm really, really curious about, because there's a lot of times when I'm watching TV or a movie nowadays and something will happen and it will just feel pre-COVID what you're watching. Like, I finally sat down to watch the movie Irresistible. which is the like Steve Carell done by Jon Stewart. And there's a scene where one of the characters licks another character's face, and that just made me cringe a little.
Well, you
did it make you cringe, Charlie, or did it make you go, I miss having the ability to lick somebody's face?
Well, I will say that it made me cringe for different reasons in Jessica Jones.
Well, some like game shows are still on. We watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I mean, they filmed that like a year ago, right? And it's a full crowd of people all hanging out, doing stuff. And they're all over each other in that show doing stuff. So yeah, you feel a little weird. You're like, oh, it's not a good idea. Jonathan has got a good question here. I know Brock's a big fan of these. He says, over the last few years, DC has put out a bunch of seasonal specials filled with short stories from creators new and old. This includes a summer DC Cybernetic Summers special and this week's Legend of the Swamp Thing Halloween Spectacular. Have you had a favorite? And if you had a chance to write for one of these, what would you write? I like the idea of them, but I stopped picking them up a little while ago because I always put them to the back of my read pile because they're like big ass anthologies. And then DC has released like 40 big ass anthologies in the last like 2 years on top of those with like the 80th anniversary specials and Detective and Action Comics 1000. And I'm like, oh my God. Like the problem with some of these is you really do get that mix of, I mean, they want to try new talent. Understandable, but like some are a little rough. But that's fine. You know, that's the point of them, right? To get new people in.
I liked, what was it? The DC, the one where they had like the kids, like the people that were in the class with Scott Snyder and all those people. It was they had that one. Those, yeah. They had 2 of those that came out. I like those because those are specifically showcasing new writing talent, new artistic talent. Like I think it's a good barometer of where, you know, DC is kind of looking at getting, you know, what talent DC is looking at. Stuff like the Cybernetic Summer, the Legends of Swamp Thing, the Halloween Spectacular, and then the Doomed and the Damned, which is coming out later this month.
Yeah, that's next week or 2 weeks or something.
I don't mind I like them in the sense that we get to see, you know, creators kind of have a little fun with a short story with these characters. Based on whatever, if there's a theme or if there's a, like, you know, normally it's seasonal, right? But I can, like, there's definitely stories in there that they're in some of them that I'm like, okay, like that was a story. Maybe it didn't, you know, but I expect that in an anthology. I don't expect every single story to knock it out of the park.
Well, I think my problem with them is, a little bit content and a little bit size. Instead of 100 pages, 80 or 100 pages, I wish they were like the Swamp Thing one and be like
the 64 or 48. 64.
I think Swamp Thing was 48 or 64 pages.
Yeah.
I think it would be better if, and I've always said DC and Marvel should have ongoing anthologies by rotating cast, different characters, new people, old people, let people go crazy and do whatever. I just think the way DC's doing it is not the way I would.
The seasonal output, I think, is the rough part. Like, if you're gonna do it seasonally, fine, but do it based on winter, spring, summer, fall, and whatever falls within that category. Let somebody go with it.
I mean, I really think it's a little bit price point. It's a little bit of everything. Even if they cut those issues in half and release them twice as often, might even be better. I wish they had one 20-page standalone full story in the front by, doesn't be a huge creative team, but give it to someone that's gonna sell the book, right? And then you can have 2 to 3 more shorter stories by other people in the back. I think these anthologies, they're too long and they're too expensive for more casual customers to buy, and the more like Wednesday guys, because sales on them I don't think are all that great. When they did the Swamp Thing one a couple of years ago that Tom King did the front story on, we sold a fucking shitload of those because Tom King wrote it, right? Yeah. I think if you had, 12 a year and Jeff Johns did one issue, Grant Morrison did one issue, Gail Simone did one issue, G. Willow Wilson did one issue. Fuck, Neil Gaiman does one issue, right? You could go. Mark Waid does one issue.
So, are you describing something like Solo?
It doesn't. I mean, no. I don't. I don't mean one person. That's the whole thing.
Oh, you mean they're doing the front story?
They're doing the front 20-page story, and then you have 2 to 3 backup stories of varying length.
It's kind of like the Giants, but not with the reprints.
Yeah. I to me, I think it is the size and price. A $10 price point and 80 to 100 pages is a bit too much for people. But I like the Swamp Thing one that came out this week. It's one character. It's much more focused of a story. And you can still do the anthology thing. Like, I love anthology. I love anthology.
It would basically be bringing back that DC Presents book.
Yeah.
And making it creator driven as well as character driven. So
think that'd be every comic. Think Marvel Comics Presents. Think any book with one strong lead story, and then I'm not saying the backstories have to be shitty. I'm just saying,
Brave and the Bold title.
Whether it's Brave and the Bold, whether it's DC, whether it's
DC Presents, Comics Presents,
Marvel Comics Presents, where it's any of that stuff, right? Yes, I've let people go hog wild and do this stuff. What a month, shorter. But it could be $5.99, right? It could be $6.99. It could be a bigger size. It could be prestige format if you want. I mean, that shit would sell. I think you just need that stronger front story to give people a reason to buy the issue. Because, dude, DC and Marvel could pull 12 of their biggest writers and artists to do one story a year and not interrupt their flow of everything else. That shouldn't be that hard. And yet, sure. I mean, getting Scott Snyder to write it's not going to sell as much as an issue of Metal, or getting Donny Cates, it's not going to sell as much as an issue of Venom, but it's going to be a good. You could throw random characters in there, so you get other characters, get some eyes on them. Plus, you get eyes on the creators that are doing the backup, and if those people catch on, then they launch out into their own titles. Or if the story really clicks, if one of those backup stories really click, boom, there's your launch to a miniseries. So
yeah, and that would be my sort of feedback for that. Is I don't mind the idea of a rotating like front runner and stuff, but I think some of the backup material, or even all the backup material, doesn't necessarily have to be contained to the 10 pages they're given or 15 pages they're given.
Yeah.
Like they used to do sort of like the backup stories in Batman and stuff when they first extended it out, and like that was a additional sort of connected story amongst, like, it wasn't a one and done most of the time. It would be sort of a part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah, the backups, yeah.
And there was some stuff like that. Like, I want to say Manhunter.
Manhunter had something. Question had something. It was in the back of like Detective Comics. There was a Captain Atom one,
and that gives you a jumping point to go, okay, if this story is really resonating with people, we can launch it into its own book, or we can just give them this one story amongst these issues. And I always like that sort of testing ground, especially when they're able to do it in such a way where you're really only adding $1 to the book price. Like, you're not doubling the price, you're not doing something, but you're doing a little bit of something where you're getting a chance to highlight something new without having to fully invest in a whole new comic book miniseries and so on.
Yeah, they did that when they were doing the hold the line to $2.99, and then they had the books go to $3.99 because they had all the backup stories,
and
which I love.
I like that model.
Yeah, me too.
That model works for me.
And if you had a chance to write for one of those, which one? I would love to have. I would love to. Oh, man, it's a tough one between like a Swamp Thing horror, like Justice League Dark.
What are you talking about? You read a Legion story.
What's that?
You write a Legion story.
Or the DC Space one, which would, of course, include the Legion.
Ryan would write Bouncing Boy on monitor duty at the Legion headquarters. He's the only one there. So there's all these big adventures happening on the monitors, and Bouncing Boy's just there, like, sweeping up the floor, snacking.
You should write this one. I'm down. I'm totally down.
I mean, I'd probably write something with Harley Quinn in it, or, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
Oh, a Justice League International anthology, just featuring all those characters doing their own thing. That'd be good. Yeah. See? Gotta do more of this stuff.
I would probably write something for, like, Jonah Hex, something where...
Yeah, that's another good one.
I could just... Like, Jonah Hex is a character that I feel like I could find the voice for and like write a story for pretty straightforward because you just keep it within that sort of gritty Western aspect of it. Some of the other things, like I could probably write a Cable story if it was over on the Marvel side, just because again I know that character's voice very well, and when something doesn't feel right, it bothers the crap out of me. um, um, but there's a lot of other characters and stuff that I may love the character, but like I don't necessarily know that I could nail that book right.
It's hard. Kevin, anything you want to write?
I'm going to drop this tease first and say that there will be an anthology comic available, I believe, in November with a short story of mine in it.
Whoa!
What?
It's not a superhero story, and I can't really go into detail because I think they want to announce it formally. But the challenge,
on the hub?
What? I don't think it'll be on the hub.
Oh.
The challenge is it's really hard to write like a 6 or 8 page story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to have an idea that will hold up and be complete in that amount of space. So that really limits your storytelling. I'm assuming we're talking about the backup stories here, not the lead story.
Yeah.
Like a short story. So Charlie, if I can stretch the properties available, I will take the Blue Falcon and Dynamite as my short story on the DC side.
I love those.
If you're doing a Blue Falcon Dynamite, I'd totally be like, okay, Kevin, I'm going to do the story after yours. I'm going to pick up wherever you leave it.
Yeah, we'll do like a baton handoff, and then you take Hong Kong Phooey or whatever character picks up the story from where I leave it.
It's the Kamani challenge all over again.
Yeah.
I love those.
But with random DC, Hanna-Barbera characters, it's great.
Yeah, those DC Hanna-Barbera crossover issues are really fun. Those are really good. All right, a couple more questions. We got from Brian. He says, "What's up, boys? Wonder Woman 84 to streaming? Please, Lord, let this happen. I will pay $40 to $50 to get this on HBO Max or any platform I have to use. I would be paying over that for my wife and 9-year-old daughter to see it in the theater, so let's go. Any thoughts on this topic?" Well, we talked about that earlier, so you can listen to the early part. He goes, "But second question, you guys have time."
The early part.
Yeah, hopefully he did. If you guys could build your own team of any 5 characters from DC and Marvel, who would they be? Like 5 characters from DC and Marvel.
You can amalgam them?
His choice, of course, would be Nova, and I'm assuming you mean Rich Rider.
The only Nova. Rich Rider, the only Nova.
He says because he's a shit. Batman, rich and strong leader with a ton of gadgets. Wolverine, angry little man looking to mess people up. Deadpool, the bickering with Wolverine would be great. And Spectre, a magic ability and raw strength sets him apart from others. That's a team and a half, man.
I don't know how that team would get along because Batman would be pissed off at Deadpool all the time.
Yeah, that team would need to have a super threat that they'd be focused on because they would dissolve as soon as that threat was beaten. They'd go their separate ways.
I'll have the new Teen Warriors where I'll take Robin, Starfire, Nova. Let's go. Of course I have to have let's go Nova. Let's go Firestar. I'm going to leave Speedball out of this one. And let's throw in, I'm going to go Miss Martian. There's my 5. I like Miss Martian a lot.
I'm really racking my brain here for this question. I want a team like the original Defenders, where it's like a group of where it's like a group of characters that would never be in a team together, and that's what made it so cool.
Like Nova, Batman, Wolverine, Deadpool, and Spectre?
Like that. Like Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Namor, the Silver Surfer, and Valkyrie, and Nighthawk. Like, what the
which is weirder, the early Defenders or Champions? Which is the weirder team? Because Champions is a weird fucking team.
Champions is like characters that never sold on their own, and Defenders is characters that did sell on their own, forced into a team. So I get maybe Champion,
Ghost Rider, and Hercules, and Black Widow, and Iceman,
the Angel. I know.
What? Who fucking?
I think I got Champions might win.
It's just such a weird ass team.
Shoot. I mean, I don't.
It's okay. It's okay if you
Well,
don't.
I think the hard part is like it's like okay, I want something that's like DC Legends does a great job of just throwing random characters together, and it just seems to work. But yeah, it's like what characters do you put in there that are gonna just really you can have a great time with.
Wow, he's stumped the show. That question.
So I was stumped, but I finally fell on an answer.
Oh, Charlie's got his.
Now, mind you, it's a larger answer because it's not really a small group of characters. But I'd love to combine like the Infinity Watch stuff with all the different gems and stuff with the different people with like the colored lantern, not like the entire core, but when you kind of had that core group of people, one from each lantern representing the core, like I could see doing something interesting there, especially with the way how some of the powers between the gems and the rings would be very complementary and some would be very not. Not to mention, you would just end up having our fleas as the big bad for the whole thing. Because he'd be introduced to it and then won it all. So
I'm down with that.
I'll take. I'm just gonna spitball a few here. I think I'll have Animal Man, Big Barda, John Stewart, Green Lantern.
Remember, Marvel characters have to be in here too.
Oh, Marvel characters too. Okay, Vision.
What the fuck?
Easy there. And I guess I'll throw in another Marvel character. Throw in. Oh god! Throw in.
There's only like 5,000 to 6,000 to choose from.
I know that's the fun part, right? Go ahead and throw in. Screw it! Just throw in Iron Man. Like, why not?
Iron Man and Vision together again.
Yeah.
Question from Chris.
He
says,
"Hey
Chris
guys, have a last
you...
name because there's a lot of Chris's out there."
Chris Lockhart. He said, "Hey guys, any of you guys read Batman? Hey guys, did any of you read Batman 100? Is it just me or did it end on a whimper? I'm really enjoying Batman 3 Jokers. However, I'm hoping after the miniseries that DC retires Joker for a few years. It seems every writer has to tell their Joker story, so now when he does show up, he feels less and less special. Batman has a great villain gallery to play with. Why not focus on someone else for a while? What's your thoughts?"
Well, first off, this topic has come up on Twitter recently in the comic book, threads and stuff. That they're overplaying Joker with 3 Jokers and Joker War and blah blah blah. And I've literally posted this going, it's his 80th anniversary. Of course, they're going to be writing stuff about the Joker this year.
Yeah, I said the same thing. It's his 80th anniversary. I forgive it all. I love the Joker. I have no problem with the Joker showing up in books. But yeah, there's been a lot of Joker this year. I expect they're going to let him sit for a while after this.
I don't know. We've talked about this at least a few times on the podcast, but the big difference nowadays is if you let the Joker sit on the shelf for 2 years before, that was 23 stories without the Joker in it.
Yeah.
But they don't want to leave the Joker on the shelf for that many years to get a decent amount of stories out in between. Like, they're not going to put the Joker on the shelf for 5 years so they can get 11 stories out the door without the Joker in it.
Let me rephrase this. The Joker will be in stuff regularly. He's always going to be around. But I think major events focused on him will be pulled back. I don't expect there to be like 2 arcs down the road. The Joker is the main villain for another 6 or 8 issues. He could, but I think DC understands. You've got to let these guys sit, bring them out from time to time. Well, but there's so many other characters.
But I guess what gets me is like 2 arcs could be a year, could be 2 years, depending on the length of the arcs these days. Sure. It's
Tom King almost did not use the Joker hardly at all. He showed up in 1 or 2 like important issues, but not as a regular threat.
No, he showed up before the wedding.
Yeah, and that's really it. He was not in.
Who did the War of Jokes and Riddles?
That's Tom King.
That was the King stuff, but that was the flashback, and the Joker was not to me, the Joker was not the focus of that story.
No,
that was Riddler.
That was very balanced, I think, in how they presented it, but it leaned towards the Riddler because the Riddler was more attached to what was going on with Bane. That was the whole thing with that whole story arc from there. But yeah, Joker wasn't in the Tom King stuff as like a die-hard, major part of the story.
Yeah, very, very rarely. But yeah, no, I and the problem is, no spoilers for Batman 100, but you're never going to kill these characters for any sort of long term. You're never going to alter them too drastically. 3 Jokers can set up some interesting ideas, but it's more the mystery, I think, less than, oh, this is now this permanent change forever with the Joker. I mean, we got some shit on the podcast group about talking about the X-Men the other week. But to me, I don't mind when they go off for a little while, but the longer it does, at least to me, when you kind of read the X-Men, you're like, well, this just isn't the X-Men anymore. This is like some other weird thing. Even with Dan Slott, I mean, he talks about this on Twitter all the time with Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, I killed him, but I brought him back. We did introduce all the other stuff, but it eventually comes back, right? I mean, that's the whole point of comic books. You can have elements of permanent change. These characters are all very different from when they started, but you're never going to kill the Joker permanently. You're never going to kill Spider-Man permanently. You're going to just always have this building and building and building. Miles Morales will never take over for Peter Parker on a permanent basis. He now exists alongside of him. All right. And so with the Joker, I think it's fine, right? I mean, we've got a lot of Joker, but he'll sit for a while, and they'll do something with him. They'll bring him back down the road, and he'll pop up in a Harley story. He'll pop up in anthologies. I mean, Joker's going to be in every issue of Batman Black and White that's coming out.
Remember when Tomasi had those couple fill-in issues when he first started on Detective, and he had that like random Joker story that he just threw in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I was like, that's probably what you're going to see from Joker for a little while, which to me works perfectly fine because, again, the Rogues Gallery is big enough that you can do a ton of different stories with other characters in that gallery. So
yeah.
And no, I haven't had a chance to read Batman 100, which I have 2 copies of the main issue for some odd reason.
How weird.
Yeah. How weird is that?
So next question comes from Tyler. He says, when collections get pushed out, I don't usually think much about it, especially this year. However, the Starman Compendium has been delayed. Because it's DC and Starman, this worries me. I don't even want the compendium. I want the full hardcover omnibuses, but I'll take what I can get at this point. I know I talked about it a little bit last week, but with it getting pushed out, what are the odds we actually get this collection? So yes, a number of graphic novels have been delayed and pushed back into later 2021, early 2022. It's unclear if this is because of they're going to get canceled or they're just repositioning upcoming stuff and more books need and take precedence with this. Things like the Batwoman Omnibus got pushed back, Power Shazam Book 2, the Gen 13 collection, which stuff like Gen 13, I would think maybe they're going to do a bigger Wildstorm push, so I could see them kind of pushing a few things back. But yeah, Starman's, which was supposed to be out early next year.
Wasn't it March?
Yeah. I pushed back to September 2021.
Well, I mean, so we have issues with COVID, right? So them actually making these things could be slightly difficult. You have the shakeup with the Warner Brothers, kind of, getting rid of people. There's a lot of factors that go in, just the schedule back up, like movies are getting pushed back. So of course, trades are getting pushed back. You have the printers that may not be able to print the amount that they were printing before.
So this was my initial question, and this is actually one for Ryan, because I don't know on the DC side so much. Like, I know Marvel has announced various omnibuses and stuff going back into print.
Yeah.
Because they sold out so quickly, and therefore that has to shift schedules and stuff, potentially to get more copies of Wolverine printed and Silver Surfer and like all these other omnibuses. Has DC announced anything like that? Are they getting some of this stuff? Because as you've talked about, even on their side, some stuff has sold out at unprecedented rates.
Which is why stuff getting pushed back confuses me. I thought they'd move everything forward and push stuff out faster. It could just be more book. Every book store is or every book publisher is going to have delays because stuff is getting so much more stuff is coming out now. But I don't know. It seems weird. It seems weird because everyone else is pushing stuff out faster. I have no answer. I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I would say yes. There's a likely chance Starman will not happen just because of this is like the third time, right? However,
okay, Ryan, what do we get first? A Flash movie in theaters or the complete Robinson Starman released?
Ooh.
I'm going to say a Flash movie in theaters. I'm not going to limit it to the Flash movie in theaters.
So you're saying that character will be in a movie?
No, he's saying a cartoon.
That's a tough one.
I'm basically saying they will make a Flash movie. Whether or not it remains the Flash movie they currently have in mind, I don't know. But especially with releases that are not one and done, I've waited too long between volume 1s and volume 2s before.
Is it bad sign that the Starman Compendium is no longer listed on Penguin Random House's site?
That would be a bad sign, yes.
Um,
I want to read this too, so it's like, oh God, no. So, guys, what we need to do is
read them on DC Universe.
No. What I need to do is I need to go out and find all of these issues to get them bound, because the second I go to do that, they're gonna put this thing out.
See, okay, I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
This is thin limb.
It's being pushed back because they solicited the book wrong. This is not Starman Compendium 1 paperback. This is going to be the Starman Omnibus Volume 1, because we were talking about this the other week. And if this info is all correct, there's no way this is a softcover compendium. 1,476 pages. Okay. What was Walking Dead was 48 issues at 20, right? So that's 960. So it would be more than half again bigger than the Walking Dead compendiums. There's no fucking chance this is coming out as a softcover compendium.
Well, what compendium has DC done?
They did Ex Machina, and it was like half the size.
Oh, and aren't they doing Sandman too?
Those are oversized hardcovers. They're not compendium, not softcover compendiums. This collects Starman 0 through 42, the Starman 80-page giant, Annual 1 and 2, Secret Files 1, Showcase, a couple issues of Showcase, the Starman issues, Power Shazam 35 and 36, the crossover, and Shade 1 through 4. That is a fuckload of content. There is zero chance this is coming out. So it's one of two things. One, this is getting cut in half because there's no possibility that this is coming out as a compendium in one volume.
They made a mock-up, put it on somebody's bookshelf, and it broke the bookshelf.
Well, they said we have our map for the omnibus. We have the map for the omnibus, and we have the compendium softcover, and they mashed them up and forgot to change one or the other. Because there's zero chance a 1,500-page softcover book is coming out. Zero. Because there's just no way. Even in half, I think.
How long was Fourth World?
It was probably the same. It was about the same. I think that would be like, fuck, this should be 3. If there should be 3 if it's going to be that size. Yeah, the Ex Machina compendium. I look up here. Ex Machina compendium was
15,
was 664 pages, so way smaller.
Yeah, the Fourth World Omnibus is sitting at 1,536.
Yeah, so again, I think they should make that Starman 3, but what are you going to do? So I'm going to say yes. It is either going to be retitled the hardcover omnibus, or they're going to cut the content by half because there's zero chance. And that would be four compendiums for all of Starman, including all the crossover stuff. That sounds right. Question
Two
from Josh.
omnibuses.
Question from Josh. Or 2 omnibuses. Again, it should be 3, but we'll see. Question from Josh. He says, with all the hype and build-up, I kind of feel the punchline didn't really have much to do with the climax of Joker War. For now, I think the anti-Robin clown killer, kind of the bad guy Robin, clown killer was the better new character. What are your thoughts? I mean, I agree. I think clown killer is cool. I think punchline's fine.
When was Clown Killer introduced?
A couple issues ago.
Like 97?
Yeah, 96, 97, something like that. Yeah,
he hasn't like I've only read up to like 99. I need to read 99 and 100.
Yeah. No, I mean I like Punchline well enough, but it's she is what she is, right? I mean Harley Quinn's making fun of her like in her first appearance, which is they'll kill her off at some point in the not too distant future, I'm sure, because you're not going to replicate Harley anytime soon, and
people don't want that type of relationship again.
And the Joker's not going to have a girlfriend for very long. So, but I don't hate her. I think she's a cool enough character. She's just like an angry fangirl that gets all Jokerized. Like, that's okay. People hate her, though. People really hate her. And I don't hate her.
Maybe Johns is going to write 3 punchlines.
Maybe. Yeah, not like, I don't know why some people, but I guess, whatever. Yeah. She just kind of...
It's the internet. Okay, people hate everything on the internet. So
yeah, she's an okay addition.
Well, we already got 2 Harleys in White Knight, so...
Yeah. Kevin, what are your thoughts on the character find of 2020?
I have not read an issue featuring that character or Clown Hunter.
No.
I have no comment.
Well, there you go.
Punchline.
There you go. All right. Now I'm a Philistine, so I'll pass this question off to you guys. This is from Tim. He says, do you guys read anything other than comic books? I know everyone is very busy, but do you read or want to read fiction, nonfiction, or something else? And I used to regularly.
Okay, by used to, it's decades at this point.
Decades would be correct, yes. Less so these days. I have no time for... If
there's a movie instead of a book, you watch the movie.
Nah, I don't even watch movies anymore. Like, all I watch is TV. It's terrible.
Yeah, you better get on that, watching that David Lynch Dune movie before the new one comes out.
Oh, well, I have another year now.
Yeah, see, they kept you in mind.
Hey, I put that on my HBO Max queue.
Dune?
Yeah.
Which of the 7 cuts you're gonna watch?
To answer his question, I read about a book a week.
Yeah,
God damn, son.
Yeah, he does.
and I try to rotate it from fiction to nonfiction.
Yeah.
Or like sci-fi to literary fiction to like, so it's never back to back the same type of book.
Charlie?
I mean, the closest I get to any kind of reading nowadays is Audible. Occasionally I will sit down and read a book, but it tends to be more like, oh, Bruce Campbell put out a book or Eric Idle put out a book. It's not like long running book series or something. It's typically just something I can sit down for a week and read and then go back to my comic books.
Yeah. I'm currently reading, I just started the Witcher series. So I'm reading The Last Wish, which is the first, installment of The Witcher. I try and get as many of the Star Wars books as I can since they reset the canon. I've been enjoying those. I mean, I try to read as much as possible book wise, but like my goal this year is like 41 books, and I'm almost there. But yeah, I mean, it rotates. Like I have my stack of single issues and I ignore them, and then I'm like, it's too big. I read that down, but in the middle of it, I'm reading a book here and there or something. I did pick up like Dune to read that and check that out. But I mainly stick with like fiction and science fiction, some fantasy. I do dabble in. I love Michael Connolly, and he's pretty consistent with releasing a book every year, so I get his books. There's a ton of stuff on my reading list for books, but I just never get there's way too much stuff to read and not enough time. I want to get that that Frankenstein, Mary Shelley Frankenstein, that Stephen King did the intro for, and it has the Bernie or what's his name? Why am I blanking?
Bernie Wrightson.
Yeah, Bernie, his art in it, that looks really cool. We sold our last copy. I sold our last copy on last Thursday. So, but yeah,
I already got someone coming on reorder.
Nice. But yeah, Kevin and I are friends on Goodreads, so I see what he's reading all the time. I'm like, damn.
Well, keep in mind, I'm sitting on a train basically for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So my goal was to read 50 books this year.
And what are you at now?
50. I just finished 52, I think.
Okay. Yeah, but you read a lot of like different stuff. Like I see what you read. I'm like, what the hell? Like, how did that get on his radar? Like, is he walking by like some books, like bookstore or something? Like he's in the airport and it's like, what do they call those places? I forgot. What are the bookstores in the airports called?
Bookstores?
No, it's like the name of those bookstores.
Oh,
sure.
God, I haven't been in an airport in so long. I can't even.
Oh God,
I know what you're talking about, though.
You know, it's you see that when our authors used to travel, they would stop in at those places and randomly sign all the books and then tweet it out or something on Instagram saying, if you're in the airport, get your signed copy.
Yeah.
But it's like you read a lot, Kevin. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have to make up enough for myself and Ryan, so I'm reading for two.
Oh, you're reading for
like
two.
an expectant mother is eating for two. I'm reading for two.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, it's Hudson Booksellers.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Hudson News, I think, is the store name.
Oh, and Heritage, right? Is that one of them?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many regional ones.
Yeah.
Final Patreon question for the night, and we're going to get out of here. It's from Gilbert. He says, any thoughts on Exoswords? Well, we talked about that last week.
Has that started?
Yeah,
it's on like part 4.
Yep, I think part 5 came out this week. It was
okay.
1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 for this week. I think it might have brought back my interest in the X-Men, which I really needed. It seems like the big two, Image and Boom, have been killing it in terms of sales and story. Well, we'll talk about Exoswords in a second, but then his question is, and additional question, what is your favorite era of comic books? Exoswords. I haven't read them yet, so that's my answer. 22 parts, man. I'm not reading it till it's done. I'll jump in and read them all at once.
I looked at the first one and going, I should pick this up and read it, and then I put it back on the shelf.
Yeah, Charlie's gonna buy the omnibus when it comes out.
The nice hardcover that's already been solicited.
Yeah. We are not your podcast for all things X-Men Day One reviews. I hope it's good. Sales have been fine. I've heard people online talk about it, but not too much in the store. But people are buying it, so hopefully people are liking it.
I mean, the only thing the only experience that I had with it was kind of just it was turning off people going into it before it had come out with just the 22 chapters, the crossing over between all of the titles, and like a lot of people were just like, yeah, I'll wait till it's all done to read it.
No, we had a few people drop off. But we had many more people add all. So, there you go. I think overall,
sorry to answer that question with a fizzle, but nobody's.
Well, has anybody been reading the Boom and Image stuff that's been coming out?
A little bit. I think Something Is Killing the Children is the only Boom book that I'm not like current on, but I'm reading regularly.
I really liked the first issue of that. We only find them when they're dead.
Yep.
That first issue was really good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, for a lot of that stuff.
Al Ewing one?
Yeah, I just wait till the trades are out and things are
You don't read the trades.
I do sometimes.
Stillwater. I like Stillwater. Stillwater is pretty good.
The problem is if I'm going to read, there's a lot of books coming out these days, and I can't keep track of 100 stories at once. It's much easier.
You're keeping track of ordering everything. How are you expected to be, keep track of reading everything?
Well, yeah, I'm doing that too, but it's tough because there's a lot of good books out now, and yeah, my to read pile just keeps growing and growing and growing. So I keep up with most of the DC stuff and the big Marvel stuff, and then the little Marvel stuff and the indies. I just wait till I was keeping up with the X-Men pretty regularly till kind of like we got back from the shutdown. I was pretty current, but it was a fucking chore, and I was not enjoying it, and that's never a good sign. So, and favorite era of comic books.
Comics in general, not X-Men, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tough one. I mean,
everybody will have their answer. I'll say this is not my answer. I'm just going to say this. I think this is true. I would argue this, that pound for pound, talent for talent, page for page, this is the best comics have ever been right now.
Yeah.
I have like my memories of specific times, but but there's not a question that some of the best comic books ever being published have been in the last couple of years. Yeah. Outside of, the indie scene, graphic novels, Marvel, DC, manga, everything is on fire right now.
Yeah.
And I've said through the years. Go, Charlie.
In terms of my reading, I would probably say at the start, like after Johns had been doing Green Lantern a little while, because at that time I kind of felt like I've been a regular comic reader for a long time, but I was coming into the shop and buying specific books for a long time. Like I wasn't going out and being like, I should give this a try or I should give this a try. And I remember falling in love so much with like Green Lantern that I immediately went and got all the John's Flash trades and like JSA trades. And like it was one of those kind of times when, and that would lead me to some other areas and other events and other things I missed. There was something really, really nice about that time because I was behind and missed so much that had happened within like a few years previous to that it reminded me of like the early days of comics, but I think I was happier with everything I was getting at the time. But it's kind of an interesting sort of like, at the height of my collecting in the 90s, I reached a point where I was buying so many things, but I wasn't really going back anymore. I had already sort of like filled in everything that I felt like I missed that I wanted to read from the X-Men and from Spider-Man and that kind of stuff. So like, there's that sense of like, I've caught up to where I needed to catch up that I kind of rediscovered at that time. So for me, that was kind of a hype because between what Johns was doing on DC and Bendis was doing it at Marvel and like all of that type of stuff, there was so much stuff for like, I got into Bendis around that time with Ultimate Spider-Man and immediately went back to the Bendis Daredevil and ate it all up and just stuff like that.
Yeah, for Marvel, my era is like 99 to like 03 maybe. That Marvel Knights, Heroes Reborn time, like from when I was reading comics. That easily my favorite time for Marvel. New X-Men, started New X-Men. All that era. Those were by far my favorite Marvel comics. DC might be shortly after that. Early 2000s, leading up to mid 2000s, Identity Crisis, Infinite Crisis, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. That's tough to beat. That's a good set of books right there. I love all those books. Yeah. I mean, I like older stuff too, but I wasn't reading at the time. I wasn't alive in some cases. So from what I was reading, those are probably my favorites. But we have some damn good books out right now. Very, very good book.
I have two answers to this. If we're going to count before we were born, I'm going to choose the Silver Age. Yeah. Yes, it's silly. No, those stories don't all hold up today, but there's still something to me magical about seeing those, like, for example, those old DC covers with the checkerboard along the top of the cover, the black and white checkerboard. There's something still magical about it. But as far as of my time reading, there's a period, and as you guys were talking, I was trying to pin down the years, but I'm just going to say, I'm going to call it mid-ish 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From basically Crisis on Infinite Earths, followed by the Byrne Superman, followed by like the British invasion at DC with the start of Vertigo. You also had Love and Rockets, American Flag, Matt Wagner doing Grendel, I mean, that was just it was not only good Big Two comics, but it's kind of like now where there's a lot of like really good indie stuff too.
Yep.
I'm going to call it maybe like 85 to, I don't know, 88, something like that, 89.
Yeah. Those are some of my favorite comics too. It started Vertigo, all that era. So it was before I was reading regularly, I was still pretty young, but that's going back. That's easily some of my favorite comics. Brock, if you're talking, Brock, I cannot hear you.
I muted myself for a second because there was loud noise outside.
That's okay.
I think for me, it's probably coincides with a little bit of like, the Jeff Johns, kind of Green Lantern stuff into, but like for me, I think Marvel was more around the time of like 2008 with the Guardians of the Galaxy from Abbott and Lanning, and I think some of the stuff that was going on at the same time in Marvel. I want to say like the X-Men was dealing with all the Messiah stuff around that time. Because I really enjoyed that stuff during the X-Men, run. But yeah, it was probably then that I really kind of enjoyed reading a lot of different types of comics. Yeah, because it looks like Messiah came out from like 2007 to 2008. Yeah. But that was like not just one thing. That was like there was the Messiah complex, there was the Messiah War, Second Coming. So like I think that tail end, it heading kind of just into the New 52, I think was a really good time. Because I think you also had Morrison on Batman in that time. Scott Snyder was coming out with Black Mirror around that time. So
it's a good time for comics.
Yeah.
Lots of good times for comics. And this is a good time to end the podcast. Thank you all.
He really wanted that segue bad.
Listening to this episode. Sorry, it's a little bit late. We should be back normal next week. Assuming my inner ear does not hate me. We'll see what happens. We have some wonderful Patreon backers to thank. As always, we have Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie podcast. Go check that out. Craig Anderson over at craigpanderson.com. He's posting all the time on Facebook. If you want to go follow him over there too, with his job, you can get more info at craigpanderson.com. James,
and if he's listening this far, I want to hear Craig Anderson's favorite era of comics. I think he should post that.
It's gonna be like 80 something. That feels like his time. Burn Claremont time. Feels like his books. James Laws, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum podcast, Jesse Peterson at the Comic Book Matters podcast, and Mario Miranda. Thank you guys all very much.
Thank you
for your support at patreon.com/comic conspiracy. We also have our $5 a month backers to thank. Burn through this list real quick. Tim Bradshaw, Donald Thomas Fleming, Jeffrey Hirschman, Double O Evans, John Seep, Timothy O'Brien, Josh Pickett, Mel V, Christopher Haith, Tim Martin, Ames Foster, Mason Barber, Robert Lane, Joseph Rodriguez, Bryce Larson Quotes, Joe Cachadorian over at Identity Stunt, PJ Ryder, Zach Johnson, Jack Ildefonso, Chris Lockhart, Enerban Banerjee, Chris Bunch, Wally Ansari, David Baroldi, Miles Agakula, Tyler Willits, Tim from Virginia Beach, Brian Moravsky, Paula Schultz, Chris Palaki, Don Kilson, Father Dante, Mark Long, Stephen Septia, Ivan Liskanik, Andrew Cuscieri, Alex McHale, Christopher Noyes, Edgar Moreno, and David Safar. Thank you guys all very much for your continued support of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, which you can find at comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net. Apparently not last week's episode because the site was down and I couldn't post it. And the Apple Podcast app and Spotify. You can go over to comicsconspiracy.biz. That is our website. You can purchase all sorts of comic books on there. Little note, if you have it bookmarked, it should forward fine. They pulled the stores off the websites and moved them over to like the Comic Hub storefront thing. So our site now just redirects. It's the same store. It's just the URL might look a little different, but comicsconspiracy.biz gets you there. conspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video pull list, and unboxing videos. You can follow him. Charlie's got Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension, the Doctor Who podcast. And Kevin continuing his creator interview series called Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. And do not forget to go to etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art for my wife Leanne and all her fan art stuff she does over there. You can pick up stuff there as well as the store. If you're on Twitter, I am Ryan Higgins. Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is That Kevin Sharp. And the store is Comics Con Store. And don't forget to listen to me on the Geek Box every Monday or whenever Ryan Scott puts it up. And Manga Machinations, some friends of ours, Cord, can find us there as well. That is it. Thank you, guys. Sorry for this late podcast once again. And
what did we get in this week?
What did we get in this week? We got in the signed copies of the Detective 1027 store exclusive variant cover signed by Mitch Gerrits himself. So we still have some copies available at comicsconspiracy.biz and eBay for your international purchasers. Yeah, they turned out really nice. Yeah, it's got a cool. I like his signature. You know, he stole it from Adam Hughes. I mean, he's said this. He's like, yeah, I stole my signature from Adam Hughes because
he said that to us at San Diego. Remember when he was signing my book? He's like, I'm going to sign next to Adam Hughes because this is where I got my signature.
Yeah. So, I like the Mitch.
I've been packing those up since Monday because I received those books. Second wave went out today. Third wave will go out tomorrow, and I'll get hopefully the rest of them done up this weekend for everybody that's pre-ordered. Those should go out soon. So if you get your order in this weekend, it'll hopefully get put in there. If not, it'll go out next week early.
Yeah, for everyone that prepaid through the website or for your subscriber, the copies are going out now. So for all the prepays, we're boxing and shipping. So keep an eye on your email because it's on its way.
Boxing and shipping. That's all I'm doing is boxing and shipping.
I know.
Boxing and shipping.
That's what the shipping receiving man.
It never ends, man.
Okay, well, they'll stop when the comic book stop, which might happen again. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.